Picture this. You're at a dinner party. Everything's light-hearted. People exchanging stories, laughing, nodding like bobbleheads to cliches and recycled opinions. Then, someone says something that cuts through the air. Sharp, honest, maybe even uncomfortable. And suddenly, the room shifts. Smiles stiffen. Forks pause mid-air. Phones become very interesting. That wasn't just a disagreement. That was disruption. You just witnessed society's ancient fear in motion. The truth about why smart people make others uncomfortable. It's not that intelligent people are smarter, more logical, or more educated. It's that they see what others won't. They notice patterns others avoid. They speak truths most pretend not to hear. And that level of awareness, it's unsettling. Because intelligent people don't just observe society, they expose it. And society doesn't like mirrors that reflect its flaws. It's not a new phenomenon. This isn't about TikTok culture or modern media echo chambers. This fear goes way back. In fact, Arthur Schopenhauer, that brilliant German philosopher who never sugarcoated anything, saw this pattern over 200 years ago. And his insights, they're more relevant today than ever before. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Society isn't afraid of intelligence. It's afraid of what intelligence reveals. Intelligent people become walking mirrors. They hold up reflections of our hypocrisy, our blind obedience, our self-deception. And most people don't want to see that. When was the last time you heard someone say, "I love hanging out with Jane because she always points out when I'm being fake"? Never, right? Because we don't want our comfortable lies disturbed. They want validation, not confrontation. And intelligent people, they see the cracks in the mask. They ask, why? When everyone else is saying, that's just the way things are. And here's the kicker. Society punishes those who notice too much, not physically, but socially. They get labeled as weird, too deep, or difficult. This is why intelligent people often keep their thoughts to themselves, weighing their words before speaking. Knowing truth often invites backlash. Schopenhauer described the majority of people as living in the realm of appearances. He wasn't trying to be edgy. He meant that most people construct a reality that helps them avoid deeper questions. Meanwhile, intelligent people, they're compulsive truth seekers. They notice when the emperor is naked, even if he's wearing Gucci. Imagine this. You're watching a feel-good movie with your friends. Everyone's caught up in the warm fuzzies. But you see the plot holes, the lazy dialogue, the oversimplified morals. Do you speak up? Or do you sit in silence so you don't kill the vibe? This is the daily experience for intelligent people. Not because they want to rain on parades, but because their minds don't switch off. They detect inconsistencies. They sense when the math doesn't add up. They feel the weight of illusion pressing down on reality. And that tension, it's exhausting. Constantly walking the line between truth and social acceptance, they become masters at internal dialogue. Schopenhauer called this the burden of consciousness. Once you see past the illusion, you can't unsee it. It's like being the only sober person at a party where everyone else is drunk on delusion. You're not trying to be difficult. You're just seeing clearly. Let's strip it back. Society runs on agreement. We agree this colored paper is valuable, so we call it money. We agree these invisible lines on a map matter, so we call them countries. We agree wearing certain clothes at certain times is appropriate, so we call it etiquette. But what happens when someone steps outside that agreement? What if someone says, "This doesn't make sense"? Suddenly, the whole thing feels shaky, and no one likes standing on shaky ground. Intelligent people aren't trying to tear society apart. They're just the ones who ask, what if this isn't the only way? But for people whose identity is built entirely on the way things are, those questions feel threatening. Schopenhauer nailed this. Most people don't want truth. They want comfort. They want stories that affirm their choices, not truths that challenge them. So, when an intelligent person steps into the room with too many questions and too few social filters, they're not seen as insightful. They're seen as dangerous. Because disruption isn't just about rebellion. It's about offering an alternative. And alternatives force people to reconsider everything they've accepted. That's scary. Here's something wild. The human brain responds to a challenge against deeply held beliefs, the same way it responds to physical danger. Fight or flight. Someone questions your worldview. You either argue or ghost them. This is why intelligent people often get excluded. It's not because they're mean or smug. It's because their questions hit too close to home. When someone questions your political views, your faith, your career path, it doesn't just feel like a debate. It feels like they're cutting into your very identity. That's why people say things like, they think they're better than everyone else, or they're too intense. These are defense mechanisms. It's easier to label someone as arrogant than it is to admit, they make me question everything I've built my life on. Schopenhauer didn't just observe this. He lived it. His ideas were mocked in his lifetime. His major work ignored for decades. Not because he was wrong, but because he was right. Now, here's the modern twist. Social media should have made deep thinkers more visible. But instead, it amplified the noise. Fast takes, surface-level hot opinions, digital junk food. Meanwhile, thoughtful voices, people who try to inject complexity and nuance, get drowned out. Being intelligent today can feel like yelling into a void, or worse, getting mocked for saying something inconvenient. Real connection becomes rare because depth isn't trending, and intelligent people, they often find themselves dialing it back just to be understood, not because they want to, but because they have to. It's not arrogance, it's translation fatigue. Imagine constantly having to rephrase yourself in a language that people only half speak. It's exhausting. Eventually, you just stop trying. And when intelligent people retreat, society calls it aloofness. And ironically, their silence is used as proof that they think they're better. It's a trap of perception. Here's the gut punch. Most people are terrified of being seen. I'm not talking about attention. I'm talking about exposure. Intelligent people have this quiet radar. They notice things others don't want noticed. The fake smile, the contradiction, the insecurity under the confidence. And when someone sees through your mask, what do? You run, or you attack. Because being exposed, even subtly, is one of the most terrifying human experiences. And rather than admit to that fear, society blames the person holding the mirror. They're too critical, too serious, too much. It's not too much, it's just too real. Schopenhauer described most people as living lives of quiet desperation. Today it's louder, but still desperate. People chasing status, validation, more of everything. But intelligent people? They push back. They ask, why? Why are we working 40 years to retire for 10? Why are we sacrificing sleep for clout? Why do we measure success in followers, not fulfillment? These aren't comfortable questions, but they're necessary. And intelligent people aren't asking them to feel superior. They're asking because something inside them refuses to settle for mediocrity dressed in luxury branding. And in doing so, they inspire others to do the same, even if only silently. What I admire most about truly intelligent people isn't their knowledge, it's their courage. They're willing to think differently, even when it costs them friendships, approval, opportunities. They stand alone, not because they want to, but because truth matters more to them than belonging. Society misreads this as arrogance. They think they're above everyone. No, they just refuse to pretend. And in a world addicted to pretending, that looks radical. But we need those people. The ones who won't nod along just to fit in. The ones who challenge us to be better, think deeper, and live more honestly. If this is you, don't apologize for it. If you've ever felt out of place because you think too deeply, ask too many questions, or see through the facades, this is your confirmation. You're not broken, you're not weird, you're awake in a society that prefers to sleep. You don't need to choose between being smart and being loved. You just need to find the ones who aren't scared of intelligence, yours or their own. Schopenhauer said intelligence is both a burden and a gift. The burden is being misunderstood. The gift is being able to see beauty and truth where others only see noise. Your job? Carry both with grace. Use your insight not as a weapon, but as a light. We need you. So if this hit home, don't just watch, share it. Start the conversation. Find the others. Because intelligence isn't the problem. Fear of intelligence is. And it's time we stop being afraid of what's real.